Death of the Hired Hand by Robert Frost. Mary sat musing on the lamp flame at the table waiting for Warren. When she heard his step, she ran on tiptoe down the darkened passage to meet him in the door with the news and put him on his guard. Silas is back. She pushed him outward through the door with her and shut it after her. Be kind. She took the market things from Warren's arms and set them on the porch and drew him down to sit beside her on the wooden steps. When have I ever been anything but kind to him? He said. But I'll not have him back. I told him last hang if he left then, that ended it. What good is he? Who will give him harbor at his age with what little he can do? What help he is, there's no counting. Up and gone when I need him most. He thinks he ought to earn a little pay, a little enough to buy some tobacco and not have to beg and be beholding. Well, all right. I can't pay him fixed wages, though I wish I could. Someone else can, someone else will have to. I shouldn't mind his wanting to better himself if that's what it was. That you can be certain. When he begins like this, you know there's someone at him trying to coax him off with pocket money at haying time when help is scarce. In winter he comes back to us. I'm done. Not so loud. He'll hear you. He'll have to sooner or late. He's worn out, asleep by the stove. When I came up from Rose, I found him huddled against the barn door, fast asleep, a miserable sight and frightening too. You needn't look at me like that. I didn't recognize him. I wasn't looking for him. But Warren, he's changed. Where'd he say he'd been? He didn't. When I drug him to the house and gave him tea and tried to make him smoke, I tried to make him tell of his travels. Nothing would do. He just kept nodding off. What did he say? Did he say anything? Hardly anything. Mary, anything. Confess. He said he came to ditch the meadow for me. Warren. But did he? I have to know. Of course he did. What would you have him say? Would you grudge a poor old man his only humble way to his self-respect? He added, if you care to know, he came to drain the upper meadow too. Warren, you should see him. He's different. I had to stop and look 2 or 3 times. He made me feel so queer to see if he was talking in his sleep. He kept running on about that Harold Wilson. You know, the boy you had 4 years since at haying time. He graduated from school and is teaching in his college. Silas says you have to get him back. He says the 2 of them will make a team for work. Between them, their latest farm is clear. He mixed that in with other things. He says, young Wilson's a likely lad, but daft on education. You know how they fought all July under the blazing sun. Silas atop the wagon to spread the load. Harold alongside to heap it on. Well, you know how Those days troubled Silas like a dream. You wouldn't think they would, how some things linger. Young Wilson's college boy assurance plagued him. After so many years, he still keeps finding better arguments he says he might have used. I sympathize. I know what it's like to think of the right thing to say too late. He has Harold associated in his mind with Latin. He asked me what I thought of Harold saying he studied Latin like a violin because he liked it. That an argument. He says he can't make the boy believe that he can find water with a hazel prong, which goes to show you what good school ever done him. He wanted to mix that in with other things, but mostly he wishes he had another chance to teach the boy how to make a load of hay. I was careful to stay well out of earshot. That's Silas's one accomplishment. He bundles each forkful in its place and tags and numbers it for future reference so you can find and dislodge it in the unloading. Silas does that well. He takes each bunch like a big bird's nest. You never see him standing on the hay. He's trying to lift, straining to lift himself. He feels if he had another chance to teach him that, he'd be some good to someone in the world. He hates to see a boy devoted to books. Poor Silas, always concerned for other folk. And not a chance for hope, not now nor ever any different. Part of the moon went falling to the west, dragging the whole sky with it to the hills. Its light shone in her lap, and she saw it and opened her apron to it. She reached her hand in the harp-like morning glory strings, taut with dew from garden beds and eaves, as if to play unheard some tenderness which wrought upon him beside her in the night. "Warren," she said, "I think he's come home to die. You don't have to worry about him leaving this time." "Home," he mocked gently. "It all depends on what you mean by home. Of course he doesn't mean anything to us any more than the hound that came a stranger to us from out of the woods, worn out upon the trail. Home is a place when you have to be there, they have to take you in. I should have called it something you needn't to deserve." Warren leaned out and took a step or two and picked up a little stick and brought it back and broke it in his hand and tossed it by. Silas has better claim on us, I believe, than on his brother. 13 little miles of winding road would bring him to his door. He's walked that far, no doubt, today. Why doesn't he go there? His brother's rich, a somebody banker. He never told us that. We know it, though. I think he ought to help out. I'll see to it if there's cause. He ought by right to take him in and might be willing to. He might be better than appearances. But have some pity on Silas. Do you think if he took any pride in him or anything he looked for from his brother, he'd stay so still about him all this time? I wonder what's between them. I can't tell you. Silas is what he is and isn't a problem for us. But just the type kinfolk won't abide. He never did anything so bad. He don't know why he isn't as good as anybody, worthless though he is. But he won't be made to be ashamed to please his brother. I can't think Silas ever hurt anyone. No, but he hurt my heart the way he lay and rolled his old head on the sharp-edged chair back. He wouldn't let me put him on the lounge. You go in and see what you can do. I made the bed up for him tonight. I haven't. Go and see for yourself. And remember how it is. He came to ditch the meadow for you. So he has plans. Don't laugh. He mayn't mention it, and then he might. I'll just sit here and watch to see if that little sailing cloud hits or misses the moon. You hit the moon, and then there were 3 there, making a dim row. The moon, the little sailing cloud, and she. Warren returned too soon, it seemed to her. He slipped up beside her and followed up her hand and waited. Warren, she questioned. Dead was all he answered. Robert Frost.